Welcome to Megan's Minute. I'm your host, Megan Lavin, and together with Allergic Living, we discuss topics that concern those affected with food allergies. This month's topic is school field trips. Just getting regular school to feel safe for your food allergic kiddo can already feel like a hurdle. But you throw on leaving the school campus to do something extra and different, and it can feel like even more work. Let me tell you about a few experiences we have had with school field trips to see if they can help you maybe brainstorm some ways to help you handle your own situation. Now, my older son has had around one field trip a year, of course minus the COVID years, and he's nearing the end of his elementary days, and I would say they've mostly been a positive experience. I'm glad we've done them. One preparation that we did even before is that to help his classmates kind of understand his food allergies was that I found a book on food allergies that I liked, and I asked the teacher if I could come read it to the class. I felt like once all the kids understood food allergies a little bit better, they'd be more on board, and then they could help understand how to keep my son safe and kind of have extra eyes looking out for him. Now, thankfully, because I have a flexible job and I realize this isn't everyone's situation, I've been able to volunteer for all the field trips but one. This really helps put my mind at ease, and I like knowing that I get to spend time with my son, help the teacher out, and just be able to keep an eye on things. As I mentioned in my last Megan's Minute, if you haven't watched it yet, both of my sons self-carry their epinephrine. So my older son always already has it in his backpack. That way we make sure to just grab the backpack and take it with him on the field trip. That gives me a ton of peace of mind. Let me tell you about a couple of the field trip experiences that we've had. On one trip, they were going to do a craft where they made a bird feeder with peanut butter. But because we had good communication with the teacher, I was alerted ahead of time, and we were then able to find an alternate activity. It wasn't just simple. It took a few emails back and forth and some brainstorming, but we made it work. One field trip was to an apple orchard, right? When it's something simple like that. So thankfully, my son could participate in enjoying an apple with everyone else. Another field trip, and incidentally, the one where I was out of town, my son broke out in hives. That wasn't a fun phone call to get. We ended up believing it was because they went to a pumpkin patch and he had been sitting on some hay, and that gave him just a topical rash. Thanks to his 504 plan and his emergency action plan, the teachers knew how to handle it. They gave him some Zyrtec and the hives went away and he was fine. But really, it boils down to any success at school, whether a field trip or just a regular class day, comes down to staying in frequent communication with the teacher. You likely have a 504 plan, and if you don't, please get one. But teachers still have a lot on their plates. In this case, working with them and letting them know you're willing to help instead of just making demands has really eased communications and made us feel a lot more like a team. It's helped the teachers be more willing to work with me, and I think a big part in why we've had the successes we have. And I just love being on field trips. I really recommend doing what you can to attend them. Not only are they good for just an allergy mom's eyes to be on the scene, but it's so fun to just see your children interact with their peers and to be a fly on the wall. It's a lot of fun. One time though, they were planning to do a dairy field trip. And then they were going to get ice cream cones afterwards, which is a big no-no for my milk allergic son. I was so close to just saying, let's just stay home that day, just dismayed that there would be no workaround. And I didn't feel so strongly as to ask the entire grade to give up their field trip. We were new, and it seemed like that was just a tradition they had. So I put on my detective hat and contacted the dairy. I'm so glad I did, and that I didn't just write it off. Come to find out, who knew? They sold Italian ices, which were completely allergen-free, and they even had ways to avoid cross-contact. I was there to just hand out wipes to all the kids once they were done with their cups of ice cream to make sure that there was no sticky residue left over. Also, I should mention that my son is old enough now, and it was the end of the school day, so I wasn't as worried about him having to share anything with anyone or having some allergens accidentally rub off on him. It was a beautiful spring sunny day, and it was lovely, and I'm glad that we did it and we didn't just write it off. I'm so glad that we got to have that experience together. Sometimes we kind of get pushed outside our comfort zones, but with some creativity, they can often still happen. You just never know. Several field trips have been totally food-free. Yay! Like going to a concert or a play, and those are always extra nice to not have to worry about food accommodations. If you're concerned about not being notified of field trips in enough advance notice, then you can always request that you're alerted of field trips in X amount of days, depending on your own schedule, in advance, written into your 504 plan. Again, if you're hearing that name and you're not sure what a 504 plan is, please see my video on it. It's basically a disability plan to make sure your child receives accommodations that they need, and thankfully food allergies does qualify as a disability. It's formal paperwork that holds the school accountable. I hope that school field trips can be a fun and safe opportunity for your allergic child to experience new venues with their peers, and that they will be good memory makers for you all. Remember, I cover a lot of other topics. Be sure to check out my other video on Allergics Living's YouTube's page, as well as their IGTV. And if you ever want a topic that you would like to have me cover, feel free to direct message me on my social media channels to suggest a topic. Until then, take care.